What do you do with big emotions? What do you do if it's your child? What do you do if you're struggling to maintain your emotions? That's what we're going to talk about now. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about little kids with big emotions. As foster parents, you have to deal with a range of children coming from a range of environments. Um, some come in at the age of 2, and the only words that they know are words that you probably wouldn't want to be saying. My husband and I have had 9 children, ages 0 up to 7 now, is our oldest. And it has taken the ones that weren't babies about a year um, to feel comfortable enough to show their really big emotions. Now, that's not to say that they didn't have big emotions before, or fits, or crying, and all that stuff, because they did, but it didn't take, and it took until about a year in both the sibling groups that we've had for them to feel comfortable enough that, hey, guess what? I'm not going anywhere. These people really do love me, and I can be whoever I want and be whatever I want and do whatever I want, and they're still going to love me. What does that look like today? That's screaming, yelling, falling on the floor, running away, hiding, all emotions that a 2 or 3-year-old would do, right? And we're talking about a almost 6-year-old. Why? Because I asked them to repeat what I said, so I knew that they knew I heard me. That's it. Kids come from trauma, and trauma is any kind of abuse. Sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the time, if a child is removed from their home for abuse, neglect, whatever was the cause of their being removed, it stunts them, and it stunts their emotional growth. And the 2 little boys that we have adopted didn't get an opportunity to act like 2 and 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds that get to throw a fit when you tell them no. They didn't learn how to process through that. And it gets harder as the children get harder. Sorry, not harder, as the children get older, um, because they're bigger, stronger, and they're throwing these fits. And you're like, what do I do? I have to tell you, there was a time actually not too long ago that I actually said to the boys, Mommy's taking a timeout. And they said, what's that? Like, what's that? I'm like, I need a timeout. So I need you guys to be quiet so Mommy can have a timeout. I was emotionally frazzled. Now, that's being said, I would never have done anything inappropriate or lashed out or anything like that. But I was a little bit at my wit's end, and I just needed 5 minutes to collect myself. And what I've actually, Mike and I have learned, which is way different than our biological children, that when the kids are having fits, when they are throwing them, they actually need a hug. Like, they need that connection to be held, and they just stop. And then you can talk about it. You can talk about why, what was going on? Why were you feeling that way? Can I help you walk through your emotions? Every day is not a hard day, but these kids come with emotions and experiences that most of us have never experienced. And that's such a blessing that we haven't. But can you imagine? Okay, let's make a made up scenario. Okay, I don't know anybody that's had this, but it has happened, I'm sure. Can you imagine being, you know, 2, 3, and you have a sibling who is younger than you, and there's no food in the house, and no parent to take care of you, who's going to feed you? Who's going to feed your sibling? That chore lands on you. Now, think about a 3-year-old. How on earth does a 3-year-old even know how to feed a baby? What to feed a baby? How you changed your diaper? When did you change your diaper? Like a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, they're not supposed to know that stuff, nor are they supposed to do it. Compound the lack of parenting, the lack of social skills, the lack of growth emotionally, physically, that can happen in that scenario. And then you tell them, oh, but by the way, you have to be a normal child and have normal emotions. They don't know how to do that. I wouldn't know how to do that in a situation like that. And so this is not to scare you if you are thinking to becoming a foster parent, but it's truth. And we all need to hear it. And it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. But the kids are worth it. And so you wade through their big emotions and you let them have the fit. You pick them up, you make it okay, and you move on to the next day. Anyways, that's just my thought on little kids with big emotions. And it can look pretty bad. Like it can look like throwing things across the room, destroying things. But that's not what they intend to do. They definitely are sorry for doing that. They don't mean to. They just don't know how to do anything different. And it's up to us to teach them how to do things different. And we learn a lot about chronological age versus the age that they are matured at. And there's a word for it, but I can't remember what it is. But our little boys that we have right now, they range in ages. Some days they're acting 2 and 3. Some days they're acting 5, 6, 7. You know, they have moments where it's up and down, and that's okay because they're learning. And that's what's important. And so, yeah, this is not to scare you, but it's to just let you be aware of what can happen. And usually in our experience, it's been about a year. So if you found this interesting, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. And I don't know what we'll talk about next week. Maybe another foster video. Maybe my teen pregnancy experience. I don't know if it was an experience story. But yeah, stay tuned. Talk to you soon. Bye.